of trying to get through to the edges and the corners of all your joints. Yeah, so we're going to start with that exact same thing, and I'm doing this slightly weird thing with my hands. We're going to start doing that, and I was just sort of, when I was working out the class, just sort of going through things that I wanted to, how I was going to sort of convey this, getting to the edges of your movement. So I want you to just take your feet, in fact you don't need to worry too much about your feet, we're not going to be too precise with exactly where we're standing today, but just take some great big shoulder rolls, and while you're doing that, just twiddle your hands and fingers and stretch them apart and scrunch them in, and just get everything all sort of, almost as if you've got like a cobweb or something stuck on you and you're sort of trying to wiggle out of it. And then I've turned that into some single shoulder rolls, all going backwards. I'm getting the back of my neck nice and warm, which feels quite nice. So yeah, and then just maybe taking the arms down, let's leave the arms down, maybe circling the wrists at the same time, double arm circle. There's no right or wrong with this, and as you're in the comfort of your own home, you haven't even got the stress of being in a room with other people, you can just really go for it a little bit. And it is, yes, slightly weird, but I'm in a slightly weird mood today. Good, and then for our single, our sort of shoulder elbow circles, this one, I wanted to think about the movement of taking a jumper off. So just sort of crossing your elbows over in front, lifting your arms up, just about clearing your head, trying to pin the elbows back a little bit and then let the arms come down. So you're still taking a big shoulder roll and a big circle of the elbows, but using a movement that we sort of do most days. And I'm actually noticing as I'm doing this, every time I'm putting the same arm underneath, I'm going to swap the arms over. As you know, one side will always be a little bit tighter than the other one. And as you're doing this, noticing the rib cage flaring and moving a little bit. And that's absolutely fine. And then let's see if we can take one arm all the way back and round, and then the other one, and just alternating. And then the same thing, come to get your hand at the back of your neck and sort of bring that up and over. So I'm getting this sort of lovely stretch across here, across my back. That's what I mean about going to the edges today, going to the sort of into the corners where you don't normally go, where those cobwebs might be lurking. Brilliant. And then let's take a low sort of butterfly sweep, sort of like a figure of 8. And as I'm taking this double circle on both sides, I'm allowing again the thoracic spine, the rib cage, to shift forwards and backwards. My weight is rocking forwards and backwards between front and back of the foot. And I'm turning my hands outwards as much as possible, so I'm trying to bring my little fingers together there, and then when I'm opening the arms out, I'm opening out via the thumbs. So I'm getting this wonderful rotation in the shoulder joint. Again, a slightly odd movement maybe. Okay, so let's go to feet sort of shoulder width apart, fairly parallel with those insteps. Let's take the elbows out to the side as we're tracing, shoulder tracing, this can be called. So we're taking the sides of the backs of the arms at the side seam of your top. Elbows are as high as you can get them, higher than your shoulders if you can. And then we're going to push up to the ceiling. I'm just going to bend down a little bit. So I'm actually trying to imagine you're trying to push onto the ceiling all the way up through the heels of my palms. Then I'm going to allow the arms to drop, the head to drop down. I'm going to take a roll down. Nice and relaxed, knees are bent. In fact, not a particularly Pilates precise roll down, if you like, just more of a mobilising of the spine. So I'll come back up again, and then as I get to upright, as the legs are straight, I'm going to repeat. So elbows out to the side, elbows up nice and high. Reaching up, let those shoulders come up around the ears a little bit. I'm holding on to one hand with the other, pushing up, and then I'm going to let the arms relax, let the head come back through a neutral position,
Bend the knees pretty much straight away today, all the way down to the floor, pretty much coming straight back up again. Let's do another one. This next one will stay down at the floor. Elbows up, pushing up. Make sure you're breathing all the way through. Let those arms hang. Bring the eye line to level. Drop the chin onto the chest. Pelvis in neutral a little bit more this time. Let your upper body hang. Nod your head, shake your head, and then just gently straighten and bend the legs. Easing into a bit of a hamstring stretch 3 or 4 times, and then rolling up. Repeat, and another one. Elbows out to the side, elbows high. Lifting up, lift your chest a little bit as well. And then come up and over the top with the head. Chin onto the chest, soft knees, round the back. This time I'm just going to walk my hands forwards a little tiny bit. I'm going to take my shoulders over my hands just to put some stress through the wrists, and then walk the hands back and rolling up. Let's do that one more time. Stay down there and just come in and out of that position with your hands on the floor. I call it a short downward dog. So I'm pushing up, pushing the soles up, and let's just go maybe one each side a little bit, and then let the arms hang, rolling down. So the reason I call it a short downward dog is if I go sideways, I'm just going to here. I'm not going very far, so walk those hands out, the hips are high, my heels have come off the floor, and I'm just going to press my shoulders forwards, and then maybe bring your hands back to your feet, maybe walk out again, just take the shoulders over your hands, take that pressure through your hands, make sure you're spreading fingers and thumbs far apart. Let's do one more of those, over those hands, coming all the way back, and then rolling up. And we've got one more to go. It's all going on this movement today. So elbows are out to the side. We're lifting up. I'm not holding on to one hand, and I'm just going to take a little side reach on both sides, an equal amount of those reaching up, and then let the arms relax, rolling all the way down. Oh, I thought Bodhi was going to join us then, but he's not. So hanging from your waist, let the head hang, straighten both legs. Just stay where you are, and then bend one knee and then bend the other knee. So bend one leg is straight, one leg stays straight, and then just swap sides. You should be able to feel your pelvis, your hips rocking from side to side. So the side with the leg bends, that side drops down, the other side appears to be higher, but it's just stayed where it was. And then it doesn't matter which way you go with this, the straight leg side, so for me I've got my right leg straight, I'm going to lift my right elbow up to the ceiling and extend the arm up to the ceiling, just looking up past that arm, past that hand, and then come back, swap sides, left leg is straight, left elbow lifts up, so it's the same side as the straight leg. It should feel quite comfortable. As you swap, so just now swap from side to side. So just bend both knees in the middle, straighten that leg, and then lift the elbow and extend the arm. Bending the knees to change sides, straighten the leg first. So you sort of set your hips, and that helps you to rotate those shoulders all the way around. Make sure you've done an equal amount on both sides. I've got one more to go. And then I promise this is the last one. Relax in the middle and roll up through the spine, adjusting clothing. Good job. Okay, that was spine and a little bit of rotation going on there. So let's take let's warm up the side seam of your spine, your torso if you like. So legs are wide, maybe toes out to the corners a little bit, reaching up. Just 4 of these. Already done them a little bit, and then let the arms drop down, and let's just start nice and gently, reaching down the side seam of your leggings if you've got them on, and then let's start to take the arms out and just tip the arms to keep them pretty much at the same level.
and then just start to let them fold over the end and curl around. So flowing side bends. As you come through the centre, make sure you're growing really nice and tall, and then you're breathing out. Whoopsie, sorry, over there. I was thinking about the next move. So the next move is going to be over to one side, bending the knees, relaxing all the way down, swapping the arms over and coming up, looking underneath the other arm. Just watch me if you're not sure. Over to the side, relax down, swap the arms over and come back up. So you change direction each time. Relax, head and neck and shoulders, reach to the side. So both parts of this are a wonderful side stretch. Relax your knees, make sure your knees are over your toes. They will move a little bit, that's absolutely fine. Try and get that second stretch on the way up. Let's do one more each side. Over, relax the head in the middle. And last one. All the way down, looking under as you come up. Fantastic. Good. Wide leg reaches up. Okay, we've got some wide leg knee folds. This is going to get progressively a little bit more aerobic, but just like I say, getting you all nice and warm. So let's keep the legs quite wide. Let's just swap from side to side. Stepping to the side and lifting one leg at a time, alternating the legs, and just you will find that you're naturally, hopefully, taking the opposite hand to that knee in front, and your shoulders and hips are square to your front, and this should hopefully feel quite comfortable, not too difficult. I'd like you to try and take quite a wide step if you can, and a bit of a swing, so you're going to get a bit of a rhythm going. Big wide step if you've got the room. So if you're in a narrow space and maybe you've got something like a yoga mat but it's this way, just turn sideways so that you've got the space to go from side to side. We're going to add into this, staying on one side. I'm going to go this way so that you can see. Staying on the one leg, so you come into that knee fold. You're going to swing the leg back. Come into the knee fold again and then swap. Lift the knee, swing the leg back, whoops, lift the knee and swap. Try not to put the foot down. I'm just going to step forwards a little bit so I don't hit the wall. So I'm going side, lift, swing back, lift and side, lift and swing and lift and side. So quite a quick adjustment to get your balance over that one leg, and then we've got our lovely hip hinge. We've got our spine staying nice and in its natural curves, hips and shoulders square to the front. Let's do 4 more of these. 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Last one. There we go. Excellent. Okay, staying on one leg. I'm going to build on this. We've got a couple more things to do with this same pattern. Yeah, I'm going to go this way. So sideways on, staying on one leg this time. In fact, before we do that, let's get the arms going. So hips fairly square to your front, rotating the whole arm. So we're doing, it's like our front crawl. If this is too much with the whole arm for the moment, maybe just go with your elbows. Just get that spine warmed up. Let's take some going backwards. Brilliant, but the movement we're going to use, I think we're only going to use forwards, but maybe we'll try both. So I'm going to stand on my weaker leg first. I'll go this way actually. And we're going to take our front crawl arms as we do a big cycling, circling of that other leg. So there's quite a lot going on here. I just wonder if that works going backwards. Oh, sort of. See if you can reverse it. So relatively easy to, yeah, how that works. Reverse the arms. Standing leg, working hard. Let's try that on the other side. Remember, there's a couple more things to go here. I'm going to go this way. So the natural way, front crawl with the arms. As that opposite arm comes over, naturally goes to touch the knee. Coordinating your movement, getting the shoulders rotating from side to side, whilst hips stay still. There is a lot going on here. So if you've had enough, it's got too much, or maybe you just don't have the space. Maybe one to practice when you're in the park, walking the dog, or maybe not. Maybe just when you're outside and you've got plenty of space. Good, okay. Moving on. We're going to come down into a nice deep squat. I'm going to come back a little bit initially to show you. So I want you to send your bottom back, drop your hips down. Just initially start by touching your shin, but we're aiming for you to get your hands down to the floor if you can, and then standing. Plays havoc with your leggings, this one. So sending the butt back, focusing on really creasing at the front of that hip. My toes are out, 2 minutes to, 2 minutes past the hour. Knees are absolutely going over the toes. If anything, they're pushing out a little bit more. I'm sending that bottom back. So my chest, my spine is really quite upright. So from the side, I'm in this nice deep squat, but the shape of my back hasn't really changed. I've pitched forward slightly. Good. So if you're there, stay down this time. So hands touching the floor if you can. In fact, I'm going to need to go this way, otherwise I won't be able to. Don't think you're going to be able to see. So you're here, and then from there you're just going to take one leg back. You can have the leg bent, that's absolutely fine, and bring the feet back together again. So taking one leg back. I'm thinking about sort of resting my chest over my thigh as I go back. And it doesn't have to be a straight leg. At the moment I'm extending it, but you won't do that in a minute. And then bring the foot in, so you can just, it's like you're kneeling down basically, but keeping your weight over. So you're doing your laces up on the front foot. So you're there, chest over your thighs. Now see if you can just take the opposite hand away. So you've got opposite hand opposite to that front foot. The other hand's just coming away. Just get it out of the way. Maybe, this feels quite comfortable to me now, I've got my hand in the middle and my other hand is just out of the way. Might be raising up. I'm keeping my chest down over my thighs. I'm trying to keep my hips down and lifting up a little bit. Actually, it's tough work on the legs. Okay, the grand finale of this whole exercise is to combine all of that stuff together. So we're going back to the first movement. I think I might be better off facing this way actually for the moment, else I think I'm going to hit the wall. So you're going not too far side to side, but you're going to go to the side, lift the knee, lunge back, come up, lift the knee. So the only difference is, first time round we were just taking a hip hinge and swinging that leg back. Now we're lifting that knee, we're dropping down to the floor. Hand to the floor if you can, chest on your thigh. You can put that back knee almost down, you can straighten it out a bit more, but this is the bit that I really like. This is the strength part, coming up on that one leg to the side. Lift the knee, stretch it back, and also keeping your chest upright. Lifting that chest. Everything all in line. It's quite strong, quite athletic. Give it a go. Might not be available to you today, but build up to it. Try some of the other things that we've done leading up to this, if it isn't for you. Let's try another 4. 4, and down, and lift, and out, and 3. Breathing gets that heart rate up. Last one, lift, and back, and lift, and out to the side. Well done if you manage that all the way through. That's a tough one. Gets your heart rate up a little bit as well. Perfect. Okay. Whew. Let's just stand on one leg and take
a much more subtle approach to our exercise now. You're going to need to take your leg behind you, so I'm going to come forwards a little tiny bit. So standing with your legs together, this is all about principles of Pilates where you're keeping your torso absolutely still. We're going to stand on one leg, we're going to swap legs as we go, but I'm going to stand on one leg, bring the other leg forwards with a pointed foot. Hips and shoulders absolutely square. Lift that leg up a little bit. I'm going to go back a little bit to show you now. So I've got a pointed foot, everything's nice and parallel. I'm going to flex that foot. And then I can see that foot, it's going to be like a lever. I'm going to turn the foot out, the leg out, sorry, in the hip socket, but there's absolutely no change here. I'm going to come back to parallel and bring my feet together and swap sides. Let's just do 4 to the front. So swapping legs each time. Point the foot, flex the foot, rotate out, rotate in and return, swap sides. Point and flex, rotate out, rotate in and here. So last one, I'm keeping my hips absolutely still. I'm keeping my waist absolutely still. Let's try the same thing 4 times to the side. So you're going parallel to start with, pointing that foot, flexing that foot. Here's the weird one, this is tough. Turn it out, without moving that hip. Bring it back to parallel and close, other side. Point, flex, turn out, parallel and close. 2 more. Point, flex. You've really got to lift your ribs out of your hips for this one. Turn out, parallel and close and point, flex. Turn out, parallel and close. Beautiful. To the back. I'm going to go forwards a little bit. My mat's a bit sticky, actually. Quite annoying. To the back with a pointed foot. You have to pitch slightly forwards, but not too much. Flex that foot. I can see myself in the mirror. This is really difficult. Turn it out. It so doesn't go as far as you would really like it to, especially if you keep those hips absolutely glued to the front. Parallel and return. Swap sides. Pointed foot, flexed foot. Turn it out, turn it in and return. Don't need to point your foot again, Mandy. So point, flex, turn out. So I'm actively pushing that heel forwards, parallel and return. One last one, turn out of this variety and return. Good. The grand finale of this. We're going to take one leg forwards. I'm going to start on my weaker side. You're going to flex the foot, you're going to turn it out, turn it in, turn it out, turn it in, turn it in. Keep going and draw a semicircle. So to carry that leg from the front all the way around to the back in the air, bring it back. We'll do the other side, then we'll reverse and we'll reverse. Here we go. So I'm going to keep my hands on my hips, standing up nice and tall. Rib cage lifted off of the hips. So coming forwards, we're flexing that foot. Leg doesn't have to be very high. No, if I go back, I'm going to hit the wall. So I'm going to stay here. Or maybe I'm going to need to go a little bit more. Okay, so we're here. Flexing that foot. So turn out, turn in. Turn out, turn in. Take about 4 to get to the side. So this is where I was earlier, the sideways position. Now from here, about 4 to get to the back. 3, 2, oh, very tough. And bringing that leg in, swap sides. Pointed first, flex, lift up out of the hip. So we're not only rotating the leg in the hip socket, we're moving the whole leg round. Turn out, turn in, parallel and parallel. About 4 to get to the side. Keep going. That hip will so want to join in and go with you. Nothing really happens at the back, it's quite frustrating. Good, let's go back to the first leg, start at the back. Pitch forwards, let's just start with the flex foot. Turn out, turn in, turn out, turn in. So by the time you get that leg around to the side, have your spine upright. Good, legs level with each other. And then one more. Feels so much easier when we come back round to the front. Last one, here we go. Leg is out behind you, hips and shoulders square. So there is this pitch forwards,
But by the time you've got round, so this leg is at the side of your body, your spine is upright, you don't need to be pitched forwards anymore. Keep going with that leg if you can. This actually feels quite nice. One hand on top, one hand on your torso, and bring those legs in. Relax. Excellent. Okay, good job. What are we going to do next? Oh yeah, another quite subtle movement that we're going to repeat when we're on the floor. So we want our legs to be in turnout first position. So parallel to start with, pitch the weight forwards onto the heels, bring your heels together, find your natural turnout. Do it a couple of times. Matt is driving me crazy today. So I need to be a little bit wider so that I can come in naturally into my turnout, which is about there, and then parallel, and then there. So you're turning the leg out in the hip socket, exactly what we've just done. So we just warmed up nicely for that one. Then we're keeping those legs together. We're keeping the backs of the legs squeezed together, keeping pelvic floor switched on, sending the tailbone down. Let's place the fingertips and the thumbs together, and just place your thumbs into your breastplate, and we're just taking upper body rotations. So you're going to rotate to the corner with your shoulders, with your elbows, with your arms, with your ribs, but nothing else, and your head. Sorry, head and neck are going as well. So it's like my nose is attached to my fingertips here. I can't turn my head independently on its own. It's all going. It doesn't go very far. This is a frustrating thing. So I'm actively pushing my right hip. I'm going towards the right corner, and I'm pushing my right hip forwards. But because of the position of the legs, they don't really move. But the interesting thing here is that there's hardly any movement. And again, quite frustrating, a bit like the turnout. So when you isolate, when you truly isolate, you realise how little movement is going on there, but we want to be able to have that control. Let's take our hands onto our chest, so the elbows are still out to the side. This is what we're going to do when we're seated on the floor in a little bit. Elbows are out to the side, shoulders are down, spine is long, legs are in turnout, all switched on. You're going to take 3 pulses. 3, 2, 1, and come back to the centre. Breathing out, breath out, breath in to return, breath out, and breath in to return, breath in to return. If you want to challenge yourself a little bit more, so when you're here, you could move your elbows about, but you'd notice that you're moving your elbows around. And I actually like the fact that we're keeping our arms absolutely set in the same position. But if you wanted to make it much more challenging, take your arms out to the side, maybe flex your hands, just bring them slightly forwards from dead on at the side so that you can see your hands in your periphery vision. Think about this space here. Don't let it change at all. So same things, and they really have to heighten your awareness. That's so easy to bring, I'm exaggerating, but bringing this one in, taking that one back more. Don't let that shape change. So breath out, and come forwards. You will find that you're probably going a little bit further, partly, let's do 2 more, partly because you're warmed up, but also partly because we're cheating a little bit, myself included. Breath out, 2, 3, I can feel my hips going, there's a nice little pulse going on in the hips. Yeah, so this one is better for heightening that awareness and keeping everything nice and still. Fantastic. Okay. I feel like I want to stretch my neck a little bit, so let's do that just before we go down to the floor. So I'm just going to turn my head from side to side, ear to shoulder, lightly touching your hands on your legs, maybe a half circle down to the floor, and then just up at the top. Breathing as you go, and if you find any part of these movements uncomfortable and painful, just stay there a little bit longer and just stretch. Great, okay, we're going to come down to the floor. I'm going to move my monitors and bits and pieces.
We're going to just be on the floor on all fours. So once you've moved everything you need to move, that's where we'll be. Down, nice wide legs, walking out. Lower those knees at the same time just to get down to the floor. Or you could come down in a slightly different way. It's entirely up to you. So working from all fours, we are going to just explore the relationship between where we've got our centre of gravity in this position to start with, and we're going to take some narrow press ups as well. In fact, so before we do anything else, have your hands quite close together, fingertips facing forwards, and just be kneeling up if you can. For our narrow press ups, I want you to try and tuck your elbows into your sides so that your elbows make contact with your ribs. So if we do a wider press up, the elbows tend to go out to the side. I don't want that to happen. I want you to tuck your elbows in. It's almost like, when you'll see the press up in a moment, but it's almost like you're providing a little bit of support with your rib cage against the back of your arm there. So quite a narrow placement of your hands underneath your shoulders, facing forwards, shoulders slip back, knees underneath your hips. And let's just explore initially pitching forwards, so you're stressing those wrists out a little bit, and then take your hips back, but don't allow your tailbone to round down to the floor. I've exaggerated that hugely, but there will be a point. So for me, it's about now when my tailbone wants to start to send down and tuck under. And I want to just keep it in exactly the same shape. So I have to actually tilt my pelvis a little bit more. So I'm stretching all the way back and then coming forwards again. When I come forwards, I'm trying to keep those elbows tucked in. I'm stressing out my wrists, like I say. Let's see how far past your fingertips you can get your nose, and then just tuck those elbows in for that narrow press and then straighten. Stretching back, send your tailbone back, come forwards, tuck those elbows in, see if you can make that contact, sending back. So this is really nice for keeping the shoulder blades away from the ears as well, pitching forwards. So notice when I come forwards, I'm not in my square box position anymore. I've opened up the angle at the front of the hips much more. Getting a little bit lower if you can. So this might be enough for you. You might just want to stay there, it's absolutely fine. If you would like more of a challenge, we're going to extend one leg out behind you, and you're going to, in fact I'm going to take the other leg, sorry. Extend one leg out behind you, lift that up. So I'm in a beautiful straight line, my foot is in line with my body. I haven't leant away from that leg, I've stayed absolutely nice and square. I'm going to reach back. As I reach back, it's like this foot, the back, is trying to plug a hole in the wall. And I can feel myself, I've gone onto a bit of a, I can't remember what the name of that thing is, that shape. But I've gone onto a bit of a lopsided square, if you like. A rhombus, is it? Maybe, I don't know. So I want your shoulders and your hands to stay nice and square. Stretching back as far as you can. Then I'm going to pitch forwards, back to that same position we were just in. Then I'm going to take the narrow press up. That leg is going up at the back the same amount as my body is lowering. Touching the floor, swap sides. Here we go. So joining in with me if you can. So extend the leg if you want to do this. You might only want to do this bit. This bit's quite challenging in itself. Trying not to get a rhomboid, if that's what it's called. There. And then come forwards, get those shoulders past your fingertips, and then just keep the leg hips still. You pitch forwards, and then you come up again. Let's have another 3, so we've got 4 in total. Extend the leg out behind you, stretching back. I'm actively pushing into this hand a little bit more so that I don't lean away from it, counterbalancing the fact that that leg's going back. Coming all the way forwards. You sort of know you've done that bit right if it feels balanced. It should feel quite balanced. 2 more. Pushing into the hand that's the same side as the leg that's gone out behind you. Coming forwards. Tuck those elbows in. That leg goes up at the back. My nose is touching the floor, but I've got quite a big nose, so it helps. We're here. Is this the last one? I think it is. Pitching forwards, backwards even, stretching back. Now we're going forwards. Tuck the elbows in, and coming back up. And we're there. Brilliant. Take those hips back on the heels, come onto your elbows. There's our twiddly weirdo things with our fingertips we did at the beginning. Do it again. Get those wrists mobilised, get them lubricated. Keep all the joints healthy. At the same time, I'm just gently rolling from side to side. When I'm in class, and generally when I'm thinking about exercising and moving, I try and just use every opportunity. So there's never a point when I'm sitting completely still. I'm just oiling, trying to oil everything all the time. You don't need to do much, but it's just a case of, yeah, don't stop and let it seize up. Listen to your body a little bit. Okay, so we're going into our spine twist as we did standing. Yeah, so I'm going to sit up nice and tall. Ideally, 2 straight legs if you can. I've just come out this way. Yeah, that's fine. You could slightly bend your knees. The most important thing is that you sit right up on your sit bones. Imagine there's a pylon going down into the floor, one on each side of your sit bones, and then your spine is in the centre as well. If you can, so legs could be bent, you could take a long frog here, just getting the soles of your feet together, but ideally your spine is in its natural curve, so you're right up on top of those sit bones, and you're comfortable, hopefully. That's the main thing. You could sit on a block, on a book, yeah, but try and, if you can, build your stamina for this. The thing I'd really like to do, if you can, is to have your feet flexed and your legs squeezed together so that your feet are absolutely the same. So we're coming back to the 2 positions that we did when we were standing. So fingertips and thumbs together, thumbs into the breastplate, elbows are out to the side, everything is central, and initially we're just going to rotate to the side and come back to the centre. This is quite grippy, very grippy in fact, in your hip flexors. But I've got a lovely movement for those a bit later. We're rotating. Let's do 6 of these, another 2. So the reason I would like you to have straight legs and your feet together is so that you notice that you don't end up with one leg longer than the other. If you do, that's because you've let the rotation happen in your pelvis as well. Then let's place those hands on the chest. Hands nice and flat, elbows are out to the side. Now we're going to take our 3 pulses with the breathing. So breath out, 2, 3, breath in to grow tall, breath out. Breath out. Growing tall. 3 more. Last 2. Here we go. Breath out. Trying to keep those legs still. Trying to keep the weight even on both sit bones. And coming back and have a little slump and a relax, and then give those legs a bit of a shake. Brilliant. A C-curve balance into a chest lift and a forward bend. So a nice flowing movement here. So sitting up, again right up on those sit bones, legs, feet and knees hip width apart, hands underneath the backs of the knees. We're creating that C-curve in the spine, and you're just going to rock back to the point where you're past your sit bones. If we were doing rolling like a ball, which we're actually going to do next, but you would continue on to roll onto the rest of your spine. But I'm quite happily balancing here. I'm really scooped out in the tummy, toes are there, so I'm on the back part of the pelvis. I'm going to pitch my weight forward, staying rounded. When my shoulders are above my hips in this rounded position, I'm going to extend my legs out, reach up to the ceiling like my life depended on it. Feet are flexed, lifting up and then reaching all the way forwards, taking hold of your toes, taking hold of your shins, doesn't matter. And then from here, imagine someone's got hold of your waistband, they're pulling you back into that C curve again, that C curve balance. Holding it here, coming forwards, get the feet down, and then reaching up. In fact, let's point the feet here and then flex as you go forward. So stretching the backs of those legs. Didn't do the usual stretches today, you might have noticed. So hopefully we'll have time to have a bit of a wiggle about at the end. Let's do 2 more of these. So rounding, holding it there, rocking forwards, almost arching that back up to the ceiling. Reach up, look up, lengthening the spine before you go forwards and up and over. 1 more, last one, rounding the back. So just test, is everything for me feels rounded. My arms are rounded, my back is rounded. I feel like I really am making a ball shape. Pitch forwards, shoulders over the hips, up to the top, get that spine in neutral, flex, and then all the way forwards. On to rolling like a ball. So let's continue from there if you can. Rounding that spine, hanging onto the backs of the legs maybe. And then we're already in that shape. This should feel quite nice. A wonderful flow, which I don't often do, to be fair, from one exercise to another. So play about with your position here. You could wrap your hands round more, which is harder. Make sure you're balancing when you come back up to the top. So when you've got your hands wrapped round, you can't change that shape. You can't cheat. You can a little bit, but try not to. It's harder. Remember to come back to that balance. Let's do 2 more. Relaxing that spine, mobilising on that spine. Last one, you're going to roll back and then just stay there with those knees hugged in, and now we're into single leg stretch and we're swapping. The shape of your back has not changed at all. So if you're not feeling so strong, hang on to the knee for dear life. Reach the other hand down towards, you could go outside of the foot. If you're feeling stronger, just touching and touching. Make your muscles, make your abs, do more work, much more work actually. Just realise when you don't hang on. Let's take 2 for a breath in, 2 for a breath out. Breath. And out. In for 2, out for 2. 4 more sets. 3 more. Last set. Breath in and out. Whoo, cramping the foot. We're going to add on to this. Breath out. Breath in as you swap over. Hold it there. Breath out. Staying up if you can. Breath in, swap over, hold it there, breath out. You might want to have your hands a little bit more around the back of the head to hold that. I can't talk and do the breathing on this one. Let's have 4 more. 3 more. Not counting doubles this time. And enough. Woo, hug those knees in. Have a little roll around on your spine, circle the knees around. Whatever you need to do, let the head roll from side to side. Brilliant. Okay, I wanted to take some slightly different bridges today, sort of a seated bridge. So it's going to open up our hip flexors. We're going to switch on those glutes. I quite like this for just sort of opening up the chest and the shoulders as well. If this doesn't suit you, then by all means lay back down,
push the feet into the floor and just take a regular straight bridge or a peeling bridge and add some arms in if you want to. You should know what you're doing. Have a little go at this though if you can. I quite like this. So hands are facing outwards, my hands are behind me and I'm leaning back a little bit, but I'm bringing the feet in quite close to my butt. Leaning back but not here, right now I'm collapsed. Don't be collapsed, be lifted with that chest. In fact, maybe you don't want your feet too close, and we're just going to push down through the heels and lift hips up. Switching on the buttocks and then drop the hips down again. So it is a straight bridge, it's just coming from a slightly different angle. So really switching on those buttocks, sending your knees forwards away from your hands, I guess, so over your toes, away from your head, I guess that's the thing I was going to say. So my arms are straight, my elbows aren't completely locked out. If you fancy staying up and just taking a little rock backwards and forwards. So I did this with my trainer a few weeks ago, and it was when my shoulder was particularly just a little bit niggly, but it actually felt great afterwards. All this sort of just strengthening, you've got the support of the other arm, the balance in the body, just take it as far or not as you would like to. Okay, so that's a 4-point seated bridge, if you like, that's what I'm going to call it. I don't know whether it's actually called that or not. We're going to take a 3-point bridge, which is basically I'm going to take this hand that's closest to you behind me and put it a bit more in the middle. I'm going to bring the other elbow into my tummy and I'm going to do the same thing, but just lift the hips up and take the arm straight up to the ceiling. And I've just moved that back hand from there out to the side, fingertips facing away. It's more in the middle behind my shoulders, so that just so you're a bit more balanced. And I love this, this feels really nice. Let's take 3 or 4, just straight up. Tough on that back shoulder, but nice rotation and strength opening up. Try and think of your hips being nice and level, shoulders will be slightly twisted. And then 3 or 4, if you can and or you want to, going up, and I'm just going to take my hand past the top of my head and I'm going to follow my thumb. So it just goes all the way back there. So rather than stretching up to the ceiling, I'm stretching to the wall behind me and coming back down. And again, feels really nice. Big old movements today. One more of those. Fantastic, and coming back down. Swapping sides. Now this is my not so great shoulder. So I'm just going to take it easy at first. So hand in, just see how it feels. Test the land a little bit. Once you've done a couple and it feels okay, maybe change that hand position. Yeah, that feels a bit nicer. I put the hand a little bit more in the middle so it felt a bit more balanced. And also, I'm actively encouraging you to open up those shoulders. Once you've done a few straight up, if you want to add on more, take that thumb past top of your head. Try and get the hips up nice and high. I'm just going to do one more. And coming back down. Good job. Excellent. Okay. I've got a bit of a tough class today. Side bridges. Yeah, okay, so again, very shouldery, but let's give it a go. So again, if this isn't suiting you today, you don't want to be up on that elbow, side line, straight line, do some double leg lifts, single leg lifts, that sort of thing. If you can though, this elbow underneath your shoulder, no collapsing. First of all, do collapse down on the underneath side and then lift up. So if you can see yourself in the mirror, there's a wonderful straight line. It's a diagonal line from through my nose, through the centre of my body to my pubic bone. There's this wonderful straight line with that elbow tucked in underneath that shoulder. Heels are in line with my butt. My waist is lifted, especially on this underneath side, and all you're going to do is lift your hips up to the ceiling and then hover them off the floor 5 times. Lift up and hover. This is all for the big muscles in the side of the back. Up and hover. 2 more, if you can. So if you're lying on your side in a straight line, you could be doing a double leg lift now. 5 or so of those, and then we're going to stay up. So if you're lying on your side, you've got double legs, doing double legs scissors, opening out and closing both legs. Otherwise, extending that top leg, lifting and lowering, lifting and lowering. Let's have 10 of these. Other arm is reaching up to the ceiling. Keeping the leg parallel. Hips are staying still. Make sure this hip is stacked. The top hip is stacked on the underneath leg. This is strong work. I've lost count. 2 more, I reckon. That'll do. Hold that leg, just keep the leg out, touching the floor. Let's thread the needle 3 times. I'm going to take that elbow all the way through, down towards the floor. Follow it with my head, and then come back to a neutral flat position to the front and rotate. Try and keep the hips fairly still, try and keep them up. If you're lying on your side, the alternative here, and you can maybe carry on, would be to be here, taking that top arm up, lowering and lifting that top arm. Good job. Otherwise we are all on the other side. So side lying, you're either here, double leg lifts, maybe some singles. That was the second alternative, and then the last one is lowering and lifting the arm, if this doesn't suit you on your shoulder. Otherwise, we are here. Try not to ever do an exercise fully on one side and then only very half-heartedly on the other side. Try and keep the balance there. Make sure this elbow is underneath your shoulder. It will have a tendency to be out there. You'll think it's okay, I've got it underneath. But actually you want it tucked in more than you think. Collapse to start with, and then lift that rib cage off, and then we're just lifting the hips up and hovering, skimming the floor with that underneath hip and lowering. Really feel the muscles around your shoulder blades and your back switched on, drawing that shoulder blade down. 2 more. Tough on the shoulder, very strong on the shoulder. Next one, staying up all the way, extend that leg, take the other arm up to the ceiling. Have this wonderful straight line from that top hand through to that underneath elbow, lifting and lowering that leg 10 times. No change, connect the rib cage to the hips. Another 5, I think, ish. So if you're lying on your side with 2 straight legs, scissors, vertical scissors. 2 more. Last one, hold that leg there and threading the needle through. Get that wonderful stretch around your rib cage, taking the arm up to the ceiling. Try and keep the hips still. Breathe, keep breathing. Make sure you're not holding the breath. And come back to the front. And have a little relax. Well done. Good. Excellent. We are on our tummies. We're going to do 2 exercises. One, we're going to do the upper body first, then the legs, because we've just worked the legs quite a bit. Then both ends together. Yeah, just have a quick look before you actually lie down on your tummy, just so that you can see what's going on. So legs are going to be apart and turned out a bit like a frog's leg. So you've got your feet flexed, knees are turned out, legs are turned out in the hip socket, and your heels are squeezing together with your feet flexed. You're going to place one hand, just fingertips on top of fingertips, and then the forehead on the back of your hands.
just resting there. So first of all, in fact, let's relax the legs down, just straighten your legs out. So they'll be quite wide apart. Let's just take the upper body. So the upper body, it's just double end salute. You're lifting your forehead, your elbows out to the side. This is strong, and then lowering. Breath out, breath in. You might find that this is too much. Especially it's the weight of the elbows and the arms, it really is quite strong. So if you just want to do this part, that's absolutely fine. Just lifting the back of the head and neck. You could maybe just hold the head and neck there and lift either one arm at a time up to the arms, so you'll be here, rather than lifting the whole lot. But if you can, glue it all together, lifting and lowering, lifting and lowering. Bottom end, legs, lower end if you like. Flex your feet, bend your knees so your heels are squeezing together. Your heels are in contact, legs are turned out. You're going to switch your buttocks on. You really push your pubic bone into the mat and you lift the fronts of your thighs and your knees off of the mat. Pushing and lifting. And again, it's a wonderful stretch. My legs are straightening out a bit because I'm quite tight in my hip flexors. It's a wonderful stretch at the front of your hips. Again, we're activating those glutes. So, both ends together for another 4 if you can. Lifting, squeezing those heels and lowering. And again, try not to be holding the breath. In fact, let's do 5. This was 4 for me, trying to squeeze those heels together as well. 5th one, and lower, and collapse. Brilliant. Okay, well done. Come up onto all 4s. 4, you know what we're going to do. We're going to have a good old wiggle about. Hopefully everything feels quite lubricated and stretched, and also we did some good strength work there today. It was excellent. So let's take some spine circles to start with, just to release all that upper back, lower back, tightening up. Great. So I call these vertical spine circles. You're taking your ribs down to the side, up to the ceiling, around to the other side, changing direction, arms stay fairly still. Good, then we've got the horizontal spine circles. So the spine pretty much stays in the same shape, changing direction. This is great for stressing those wrists. Get your fingers and your thumbs spread far apart. Feel your thigh bone just circling around in the hip socket, rolling over the knees. All good work. Brilliant. From there, I'm going to curl my toes under. I'm going to lift my hips, and this feels amazing. Push my chest back through my arms for a nice wide downward dog stretch. Raising the heels, lowering the heels, pushing the chest back a little bit more each time. Come into that sort of same feeling. So let's just walk the feet towards each other one at a time, and then walk them out again. Imagine you're trying to move your toes and your feet like we were at the very beginning with our hands, and then same thing as they come back in again. And then just start to move around up and down your mat for some nice bear walks. I'm keeping my legs straight to start with, reaching the hands forwards, realising that this isn't the best top to wear. Tuck that in a little bit, and then walking backwards, getting that wonderful stretch down the side seam of my back, all at the backs of my legs, on the outside edge of my shoulder, my chest. Feels so good. And then I'm going to walk my hands in to my feet. I'm going to drop down into a nice wide squat. I'll try to. Yep, not bad for me today actually. So heels are down, lifting my chest, and then I'm just going to gently take that from side to side. So actually I said we didn't do our stretches today. Let's go into them now for a change. So I've changed my position on the mat. I've gone lengthways on my yoga mat. Legs are really wide, knees are over the toes, just going from side to side. I'm going to turn all the way around to the side. I'm going to tuck my leg in underneath. So actually you'll probably be facing away from me now, but that's fine. Have a little look if you're not sure, and then just have a go. But I'm not really setting anything, I'm just continuing to turn it into a bit of a rotation. So if I go this way, going to the side, yeah, you still tuck in and you still end up facing away. And this way. I've yet to work out how that works best when you're watching me on the screen. Brilliant. Let's just finish here if you can. If this isn't available to you, maybe just try and work towards it. Maybe have your hands on the floor in front of you. Just gently ease those hips back. Try and relax the feet at the ankles. I know that's sometimes an issue. Maybe just pitch forwards and twiddle. Maybe put a cushion underneath your ankle. And then just, as we did earlier, maybe have a bit of a rock from side to side. Again, just doing what you can and mobilising everything, and well done everyone. Thank you so much. So tomorrow night, Tuesday night, 6 o'clock freestyle. Not quite sure what I'm going to do yet, but this class repeats on Thursday at 6. Hopefully I will see you soon. Thank you so much.